Welcome, and thanks for joining this lecture on the engines of enduring prosperity. Over the next slides, we'll explore the key factors that drive long-term per capita income and resilience, and why some economies sustain growth while others stall, setting up a framework that links capital, labor, technology, and the institutions that shape them. Here we break economic growth into three core channels: capital deepening, labor expansion, and technological progress. Capital and labor boost output but face diminishing returns, while technology, or the solo residual, delivers persistent gains. So, growth accounting shows observe GDP growth as the sum of capital contribution, labor contribution, and the crucial technology contribution that sustains long-run prosperity. Total factor productivity captures efficiency and innovation beyond simply adding more inputs, combining better management, technology, and new business models into output growth. As the chart shows, countries with strong pre-crisis TFP momentum recover faster after shocks. So prioritizing TFP through research, processes, and organizational change is essential for durable economic resilience, not just brute accumulation of capital and labor. This slide contrasts frontier economies that generate endogenous innovation with latecomers who initially grow by absorbing off-the-shelf technologies. The evolutionary path requires a critical shift from imitation to domestic invention, supported by R&D incentives, university industry links, and competitive markets. Otherwise, latecomers risk stagnation or the middle income trap instead of sustained rapid growth. Institutional quality is the strongest correlate of long-run growth because secure property rights, enforceable contracts, and predictable adjudication lower transaction costs, lengthen investment horizons, and curb expropriation risk. Cross-country evidence shows these institutional foundations matter more than trade or resource endowments when it comes to sustaining capital accumulation and long-term prosperity. Inclusive political institutions disperse power and build broad constituencies that support growth-promoting policies, wide participation, and adequate public goods, whereas extractive governance concentrates rents, narrows interests, and leads to misallocation and instability. The key takeaway is that balancing incentives with constraints on predatory behavior is essential to unlock sustained innovation and prosperity. Quality-adjusted human capital raises the marginal product of all inputs and can be transformational. Empirical studies suggest one additional year of schooling boosts per capita GDP by roughly 8 to 10%, but only when curricula align with labor market demand and focus on cognitive skills, measured learning outcomes, and job readiness rather than mere attendance. A falling dependency ratio can create a demographic dividend by increasing savings and labor supply, producing a transitory growth spurt. This window only materializes if countries deliver job-ready education, enable female labor force entry, and maintain flexible markets. Otherwise, the dividend can be squandered, creating unemployment burdens and aging-related fiscal stress instead of lasting prosperity. Geography shapes early industrial takeoff through factors like navigable rivers, icy-free ports, and disease burden, but policy matters. Infrastructure development, malaria programs, and logistics corridors can alter the cost of development and offset natural handicaps, proving that geography influences opportunities but does not determine destiny when strategic interventions are applied. Targeting binding constraints requires a sequential, diagnostic approach. Identify the most critical bottlenecks first, prioritize interventions that yield the biggest impact with limited resources, and conserve political capital by delivering visible early wins, avoiding one-size-fits-all recipes, and focusing on the interacting constraints between skills, finance, logistics, and infrastructure builds reform momentum for sustained growth. The virtuous circle of prosperity links innovation, institutions, human capital, and demographics. Innovation lifts TFP, institutions protect returns. Human capital amplifies technology absorption, and demographics create the window of opportunity. Each element is necessary, but not sufficient on its own. So coherent policy packages, tailored to initial conditions, are required to keep the cycle turning. Sequencing reforms for enduring growth means diagnosing binding constraints and strengthening foundations, while pursuing simultaneous reforms in property rights and education, incentivizing R&D and competition, and investing in connectivity to integrate markets. Monitoring total factor productivity provides early warning signals, and an adaptive strategy ensures policy adjusts as growth sources shift over time.